Okay, hello everyone. How are you all? I hope all of you are doing well. And we just have like very few weeks left for our examination, both IELTS and CLAT I'm talking about. So today we'll be discussing about further legal updates. And I hope you're keeping yourself abreast with all the legal developments so that at the end of the day, when you are there on the examination hall, uh, you should not have any setback, right? Just because you got something that is related to legal development which is happening around you and you are not aware of it, right? So it should not happen. That would be really very lethal. So, in order to avoid any such situation, it becomes very, very important for you all to keep yourself abreast with all the legal updates that are happening around you, so that you don't waste your time in the examination hall. You do not panic, you do not get anxious, because at the end of the day, it's all about keeping you cool and calm on the D-Day so that you can give your best in the exam, right? So let's start with today's set of legal updates, starting with the first one about the hijab ban case. I'm sure you would have heard about it a lot, because there were a lot of discussions that were going on with regard to this, right? Split verdict. We were hearing about it everywhere, be it on television, be it on social media, be it on newspaper, everywhere, right? Now, what was the news? We know that, right? There were few girls who wore hijab in Karnataka, and it created a lot of chaos there, a lot of debate, and matter went to the court. Okay, now this is not our concern right now for the exam. All right, for the exam, there are two ways in which passages can be channelized. First way is uh, towards the fundamental rights. So there are two major fundamental rights that are talked about in this particular verdict, in this particular judgment, right? Which fundamental rights are we talking about? First one is Article 19, Clause 1A, right, about freedom of speech and expression, because wherein the court basically said that when a person is wearing hijab, it is such person's uh, uh, freedom of expression, right? So such person is expressing his or her, basically her religion here. So it's a kind of expression, right? And we should not. I mean, there were few judges who were on this side who said it should not be curbed. On the other hand, we have uh, uh, right to religion also under Article 25 of the Constitution, which basically gives us freedom to profess, to propagate, to practice any religion that we wish, right? So we need to maintain a balance between both of these fundamental rights, right? So this was the whole debate. This was the center of the whole debate. Now, if you get any passage on with regard to this particular case, the center is going to be either fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression, or fundamental right uh, of freedom to religion, right? So either of them. So that is what is going to be the center of the entire passage. So this is one channel. On the other hand, there can be another way in which passage can be channelized, and that can be upon the technicality of the split verdict. What is split verdict? Right? So basically, split verdict means such a case wherein there is equal number of judges on the for side and on the against side. There's one, suppose there are two judges, one judge would be on the for side, one judge would be on the against side. What happens in such a situation? There is no final judgment that is reached upon by both the judges or by the bench, actually, right? So there's no final judgment we can reach upon. And that, when would it happen? In most of the cases, it would happen when the number of judges on the bench is even in number, right? And that is why it is always preferred. You would see all the bench, they usually have judges in even numbers, like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, like this, right? Why? So that even if there are equal number of judges on each side, there would be one person who will have to take one side, right? So there would be uh, a possibility, 100% possibility of a majority, right? If there are five judges, if two are on the for side, two are on the against side, the last one, the fifth one, will have to take one side, and that would amount to the majority. And whenever a majority is taken, it will at the end of the day give us a final judgment, right? Now, what happens in case of split verdict? There is no judgment that is reached, and hence after this, such case is passed on to the higher bench. Now it would be taken up by the higher bench, and the higher bench will be deciding whether such judgment should prevail over, uh, you know or not, right? So That is about the split verdict. Next is about the UAPA. We have been hearing about it so much, and it is a huge possibility. There's a lot of possibility that we may get one passage on this, because Supreme Court, had stayed, basically released a stay order, right, upon this edition also, and there were a lot of debate that were going with regard to UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, right? Now, with regard to this, what can be asked? First is about the power. The power that UAPA gives to the Director General of NIA, National Investigation Agency, is huge. How do we know that? Because they get the power of seizure or attachment of property. So they can seize or attach any property that they need to investigate upon. That's a huge power, right? Other than that, there are few important areas that can be targeted in any passage, either one of them or combination of them. First is, it is against the unlawful activities. Right. Second is, it gives absolute power to the central government. Absolute means there is no exception to it. Means you have got no defense. Right. If there's a person who is held under UAPA, such person gets no defense. It is going to be an absolute power of central government to decide which kind of act would amount to unlawful activities. It is the central government's absolute power. Right. Third is that the maximum power, the maximum punishment, the highest punishment that is awarded in these cases, in UAPA kind of cases, is death penalty. And the second highest is the life imprisonment, which is again very grave, right? It's a very, very strict punishment, because death penalty is like the ultimate punishment, right? Capital punishment. Then, no matter UAPA, I mean, such unlawful activity is done by an Indian national or a foreign national. Both of them can be charged under this particular act, right? So again, that is also an absolute. I mean, that also shifts towards absolutism. And not only that, such a person, if there's a person, he commits offense only in India, then only such person can be charged under UAPA. No, if that person goes to a foreign land and commits a crime that amounts to unlawful activity against India in the Indian land, right? In such case, also such person can be treated as an offender. Such person can be charged as an offender of unlawful activity. And the procedure also gets a bit stricter here, because charge sheet needs to be filed within 6 months. Maximum 6 months is given only in rare circumstances, when the authorities are able to give substantial reason as to why such a delay or extension is required. Then only court allows further extension for the filing of the charge sheet. Otherwise, only 6 months, only 180 days are given to file a charge sheet also. And the last one for the day is that the Supreme Court has basically was talking about, there was a case that came to the Supreme Court about the Dalits, right? And that sort of spurred a debate on Dalits also, about the SC status of Dalit, how it should be taken up, how it should be treated. And finally, the Ministry of Social Justice, they constituted a committee, a 3-member commission basically. And now that commission will be uh, studying the scheduled caste status of the Dalit, right? Now, when we talk about it, what in what direction can the passage head us to? It can be Article 344, right? That is in the Constitution. Article 344 basically says that there are only 3 communities, that is Hindu, Sikh, and Buddhist. Only Dalits belonging to these 3 communities can be given the status of an SC, of a scheduled caste, right? And it was later on affirmed that Christians and Muslims, right? So if there is a Dalit belonging to either Christian or a Dalit belonging to Muslim, such Dalit cannot be given the SC status, and it was affirmed by a presidential order later on, under or basically in lieu of the same Article 341. Right. So this also becomes important. And after this, I think you would be aware of the judgment of EWS, right? So finally, in addition to this, I'm just giving you another update, that Supreme Court has upheld that 103rd amendment of Constitution that was about the reservation, 10% reservation to EWS, right? So the Supreme Court has affirmed it. Supreme Court has upheld it, right, on certain grounds. And yeah, so we can expect more news on that later on, but I don't think it is going to come anywhere before your examination. So let's just hope for that. And yes, that would be it for the today's session. Thank you so much and all the very best. If you have any question pertaining to today's session or any of the legal development or anything that you want me to help upon in any topic, please let me know in the comment section. Please feel free to get in touch, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. I'll be more than happy to respond to you. Right. So that would be it for today's session. Thank you so much and all the very best.